Looks like we're ready. The April 13th, 2021 meeting of the Richmond Sanitary District Board of Commissioners is called to order. The first item of business is approval of minutes from the March 9th and March 23rd of 2021 meetings.
President Miller?
Yes, Mr. Buxey?
Motion for approval of minutes from March 9th and 23rd, 2021 as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the March 9th and 23rd meeting of the board. Are there any further comments or questions? If not, Jess, will you call the roll?
Amon,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
3 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you. The second item of business is approval of invoices from check dates March 9th and 26th of 2021.
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Skeens?
make a motion to approve invoices for check date run. We're on March 19th and 26th of 2021, totaling $521,899.38. We had a few significant invoices. 3 from Cooley Contracting, $27,476.85, $45,946.06, and $15,600. Also from Richmond Car and Line for $67,401.28, and Municipal Equipment Incorporated for $227,617.23.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve invoices from check dates March 19th and 26th of 2021, totaling $521,899.38. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, Jess, will you call the roll?
Amon,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
3 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you. The next item of business is the director's report.
Yes, Madam President and Board, I just have a few things. Spring cleanup, Jeff and I met with solid waste yesterday. I think we have a good workable plan to get it done this year. As you know, last year it was delayed and then ultimately canceled with COVID. So with the missed year, we expect it to be heavy, but I think we've got a plan. But we'll be getting dates and coordination with the other departments such as code enforcement, parks and street. So look for more information in the coming weeks on the spring cleanup. The curbside cardboard that we're going to be rolling out, Leanne Hahn, Luann Haliva, and Ty Farmer are wrapping up and solidifying our direction for the public outreach portion of the plan. Right now, the goal is that the first stages of the outreach will be coming out next month. So look for that to be coming. I think we're going to have some bill stuffers that will lead to a survey that can be taken. Kind of helps us plan routes and overall loading of the cardboard and just some general information on how it will work. And the other thing I want to say is I plan to have that report for January through March at the next meeting. However, there is one of the larger, more intricate portions of the construction project at the treatment plant scheduled for the 27th. So if that happens, it may be pushed to May, and I may not be able to attend the board meeting. But keep your fingers crossed for whatever we ever come to that construction piece. It's definitely going to be one of the longer 8 to 10 hours I'll have had to live through. There's a lot going to go on. A lot of big pipes going to be cut and tied in, and a lot of pumps and processes have to be tweaked so that we can kind of hold flow to 0 while we're doing that. So it kind of has to all go right. It's going to be a very focused 8 to 10 hour day. So but that's all I have unless there are questions.
Yeah. Any questions? Thank you very much. Just, I guess, a reminder, I think everybody always says after the winter, even though we had our last snow was probably a long time ago, you start seeing all that ugly stuff that's accumulated all winter, and don't wait for the cleanup. If you've got messes, pick them up.
Yep.
What do they say? If everybody swept in front of their own house, the whole world would be clean. So yeah, let's start getting our spring looking a lot prettier here. Thanks. The next item of business is to receive bids for the landfill cell 4A and 4B construction project.
It sounds like we did not receive any bids for that. So, which I was made aware of. It sounded like that was going to be the case as of yesterday in talking to some of the suppliers. So the plan is to kind of reevaluate and put it back out, because this is a project that is it's critical to make sure we continue to have landfill space. But I'm not exactly sure. We're going to be trying to figure out maybe some of the reasons people did not bid, but we know there's a very tough market right now. It's kind of crazy. The resin market, which is the material used to make some of the synthetic liners that are used for the landfill cell, which is the same kind of resin that's used to make PVC pipe. The market right now, with the snow that happened a couple months ago in Texas and shut everything down, that has really disrupted the market. So some of the materials, if they were going to be available, it sounded like the market's not going to get caught back up. Production isn't going to get caught back up until about the third quarter. So not only is there price volatility, there's availability situations as well. So I don't know if that steered some people away from it or not, but we're going to be talking through that with some of the contractors that had initially expressed some interest, and see if there's anything we can do to, to make that situation better. We had ourselves and the engineering firm involved talked through several scenarios about if there was something we could change in the bidding documents, and we ultimately felt like the way that we did tweak one little thing, but pretty much the way that it was put out was the safest way for us to try to proceed with some of that. So hopefully we'll be able to get it back out and get a couple contractors interested. But I think that volatility in that market is maybe one of the factors that played into not getting any bids. So we'll see what we can do moving forward.
Well, I guess at least we have the advantage of being able to wait out the volatility, having possibly started a little early on the.
To some extent, hopefully, we're going to reevaluate the remaining space that we have and really firm that number up to make sure, we know our critical path, critical deadline as far as needing to get more space out there built. So we'll keep moving forward on that, and hopefully between firming that up and some discussions with contractors and suppliers, we'll see what we can do to to get some people interested in it. So
okay, thank you. The next item of business is the recommendation to approve engagement letter for legal representation on the 2021 District Bonds Series D and the $200,000 taxable Sanitary District Board anticipation notes of 2021. Is that AJ?
Yes.
Welcome. Welcome. New face well, you've been with us before. Thank you for stepping in for Walt in his retirement.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to be back, and I'm glad everyone has welcomed me back. So ready to get to work. And if you have questions about this engagement letter, I was explaining to some of the board members in person prior to the meeting that I didn't have a great deal of involvement with this particular bond, but Walter talked to me about it, and this would be a standard engagement letter that would be required as a part of the closing on the bond.
Okay. Any questions from the other members? If not, I will entertain a motion.
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Bakshi?
a recommendation to approve the engagement letter for legal representation regarding the 2021 District Bonds Series D and the $200,000 taxable Sanitary District Bond anticipation notes of 2021 as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the engagement letter for legal representation for the 2021 district bonds, Series D, and the $200,000 taxable sanitary district bond anticipation notes of 2021. Are there any further questions or comments? And I will note that Walt also, I think, sent each of us out an email about this at the time he wanted to have it placed on the agenda. So I think we were all brought up to speed on that as well. Hearing no other comments, Jess, will you call the roll?
Amon,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
3 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you. The next item of business is the recommendation to award the quote for e-waste removal and destruction.
Yes, Madam President, board members, at our March 23rd board meeting, we received one quote for the e-waste removal and destruction. This was from Greenwave Computer Recycling of Indianapolis, Indiana. I have attached the bid tab from Greenwave, listing the cost of their service for each item we requested. This is the first time we will be using Greenwave. So after reviewing their quotes, it is my recommendation to the board to award this to Greenwave Computer Recycling of Indianapolis, Indiana, in the amount of not to exceed $25,000. Greenwave Computer Recycling was the lowest and most responsive and responsible company for this service.
Thank you. Any questions of Jeff, or I will entertain a motion?
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Steens?
make a motion to enter into agreement with Greenwave Computer Recycling for the e-waste removal and destruction in an amount not to exceed $25,000.
Second.
Thank you. There's been a motion and a second to enter into an agreement with Greenwave Computer Recycling of Indianapolis for e-waste removal and destruction in an amount not to exceed $25,000. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Jess, will you call the roll?
Amon,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
3 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you. I guess at this point, can Jeff or Denise, somebody down there, explain to people what they need to do if they have this kind of material?
They can, they bring it up to the landfill. It'll go across the scale, but there is an area that we do place it with all of our other electronics. And the scale house person will direct them where to place it.
Okay.
That's computers, TVs. It's really about anything electronic.
Okay. And I did find it interesting that if there's if there's a higher price.
Yeah, I think just because of anything inside, if it gets, could leach out. I really don't.
It is a regulatory thing. As it's hazardous waste, it's, the hazard inside of it, from some of the different metals that's inside of those switches, just it's a higher risk factor at that point in time. And that was a big deal from back before, it was banned from putting these things in our landfill as they were classified as hazardous. That came up, and I talked to Darren about that. Yeah.
Okay. So we want to make sure that people know that they don't just put this out with their regular waste collection pickup, that they would have to physically take it out to the landfill. Is that correct?
That's what we'd like them to do. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. The next item of business is the recommendation to award the quote for household hazardous waste removal.
Yes, Madam President, board members, at our March 23rd board meeting, we did receive a quote for the household hazardous waste removal. This was from Heritage Environmental Services of Indianapolis, Indiana. I have attached the bid tab for Heritage on listing the cost of the service for each item we did request. We have used Heritage Environmental for several years in the past, and they have done a very good job for us. And after reviewing their quote, it is my recommendation to the board to award this to Heritage Environmental Services of Indianapolis, Indiana, in the amount of not to exceed $15,000. Heritage Environmental was the lowest, most responsive and responsible company to quote this service.
Any questions of Jeff, or I will entertain a motion?
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Bakshi?
motion for recommendation to award quote for household hazardous waste removal to Heritage Environmental Services of Indianapolis, Indiana, as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to award the quote for household hazardous waste removal to Heritage Environmental Services of Indianapolis, Indiana, as presented. Any further questions or comments? If not, Jess, will you call the roll?
Amon,
Aye.
Craig,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
3 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you. The next item of business is the recommendation to award the contract for West Side Interceptor wage scale compliance.
Yes, Madam President and Board. This is similar to what we've had on other projects that are SRF funded, but because of the funding, there is a Davis-Bacon wage scale that must be paid on the job. And along with that, there's just requirements to ensure that that happens, and all the correct paperwork that goes along with it is submitted and checked. So we have in the past hired a consultant to help with that. And we have used Mendenhall and Associates for that work for the past two projects, and it is my recommendation to use them again. I solicited a proposal from them, and they submitted that, and it is attached here. So it's my recommendation to hire Mendenhall and Associates for a lump sum amount of $6,000 to complete the wage scale compliance work associated with the West Side Interceptor project.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? If not, I will entertain motion.
President Miller.
Yes, Mr. Steens.
Make a motion to enter into an agreement with Mendenhall Associates LLC for the Labor Standards Administration for the West Side Interceptor Improvements Project for a lump sum price of $6,000.
I second.
Thank you. There's been a motion and a second to enter into an agreement with Mendenhall and Associates LLC for the Labor Standards Administration work for the West Side Interceptor Improvements Project Division A in an amount not in a lump sum amount of $6,000. Any further questions or comments? If not, Jess, will you call the roll?
Amon,
Aye.
Craig,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
3 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you. The next item of business is the recommendation to award the contract for the NDOT US 27 sewer relocation project design.
Yes, Madam President and Board. NDOT is working on a bridge replacement project for US 27, which spans in the depot area, so over the railroad and several local streets. And so as part of that, as part of any NDOT project, they provide the area. We do go through a utility coordination process, and typically we don't have a lot that needs to be modified or changed. They're usually very good about helping to work around our utility. You know, we're typically a gravity sewer type of installation, and that's sometimes very difficult to move. You can't just move it up or down, and continue to function how it was originally designed. In this particular case, because it's a bridge and because they're changing some of the support and pier locations, there was a need to relocate a few of our utilities. There are two different areas that we're looking at, both sanitary sewers. And so because this is a fairly old infrastructure, we are anticipating that this is going to be reimbursable by NDOT. What that process will look like is we'll hire the engineer to help design and coordinate the design with the NDOT designer, and then hopefully be reimbursed for not only the engineering amount, but then the construction piece of any kind of relocation will be put into the NDOT project and just paid for as part of that project. So that's the way it's looking like it's gonna go, but we need to go ahead and hire the engineer to do the design work, the relocation design for the sewers. And we reached out to Clark Dietz Incorporated. I know they have worked for the city, and we've worked with them through some of those projects in the past and had a good experience. They are also the design engineer for the water utility, and we felt like there's quite a bit of coordination between us and them in these areas that we're looking at. So we felt like that would help make that go smoother as well. So the recommendation is to hire Clark Dietz Incorporated for this work for a not to exceed amount of $58,235, and be paid at the hourly rates attached to their proposal. That's all I have, unless someone has questions about that.
Did you say $58,235?
Correct. Yes.
And is this some of our oldest sewer?
It is. I don't know if it would be the old. It's definitely up there. I mean, we have some brick sewers in this area. Luckily, we're not moving any brick sewers, but definitely 100, probably plus years old is the age of our infrastructure. So I think the thought was that this infrastructure was there, prior to the bridge or some of their NDOT roadway. Therefore, it's reimbursable. It wouldn't always be reimbursable, but in this case, it looks like it will be. So.
Any other questions? It's going to be a massive project, I think.
Yeah, well, one other thing to
Not
note.
necessarily for us.
No, hopefully not for us. One other thing to know, I anticipate having another agreement come forth to you guys with NDOT, and that'll be, I think, that reimbursement agreement or the agreement to put the project into the larger project. I don't know exactly what those will look like yet, but once we have this in place, we'll get NDOT's approval as well, and then move forward with that. And like I said, likely have something come back to you in agreement with them. So.
Any other questions? If not, I will entertain a motion.
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Boxey.
recommendation to award the contract for NDOT US 27 sewer relocation project design to Clark Dietz Incorporated as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to award the contract for the sanitary sewer relocation design for the US 27 project to Clark Dietz Incorporated as presented. Any further questions or comments? If none, Jess, will you call the roll?
Amon,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye,
3 in favor, 0 opposed.
thank you. And that takes us to miscellaneous. Does anyone else have any information, questions, comments to bring before the board today? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to adjourn. Jess, will you call the roll?
Amon,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye,
3 in favor, 0 opposed.
thank you. We are adjourned. Turn it over to Greg for the stormwater meeting.
Thank you. I'd like to call to order the Stormwater Board of Richmond Sanitary District for April, the meeting for April 13th, 2021. First on the agenda is the approval of minutes from March 9th and 23rd of 2021.
President Steens, I'd like to present the approval of minutes for March 9th and March 23rd, 2021 as presented.
And I will second the motion.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for March 9th and the 23rd of 2021. Jess, could you call the roll, please?
Amon,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye,
Greg,
Aye.
3 in favor, 0 opposed.
Next on the agenda is the approval of invoices for check date run March 19th and 26th of 2021.
President Steens, I'll make a motion to approve the invoices of check dates March 19th and 26th of 2021. There were two significant invoices to Cooley Contracting LLC. The first was $129,230.54, and the second $35,150. Others total $36,861.59 for a total of $201,242.13.
Thank
Second.
you. We have a motion and a second to approve invoices for check date run March 19th and 26th, 2021, totaling $201,242.13. Jess, could you call the roll, please?
Amon,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye,
Greg,
Aye.
3 in favor, 0 opposed.
Do we have any miscellaneous, anything miscellaneous to be brought before the board? Hearing none, could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
and I'll second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. Jess, could you call the roll?
Amon,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Greg,
Aye.
3 in favor, 0 opposed.
Adjourn.
Thank you.